Good evening. This is another video in the series on evolution as the basis of faith, and we will now discuss the ways in which the theory of evolution has changed our world. To a great extent, one may say that the development of evolutionary theory and the many discoveries that support this theory have created a true revolution in all areas of human consciousness. Whether it is religion that was obliged to turn its descriptions of reality into mere dogmas, or if it was science that was more and more forced to rely on a reductionistic worldview in order to prevent any theological interpretation for the facts of evolution. Other effects were those of the many theories of progress and development that began to appear along the entire scale of religious faith in order to explain the relationship between evolution and human fate and progress. It is now time to look at various aspects of these effects and impacts. Rabbi Kook writes about evolution the following words: the development that we see created in great gradation and graduality over billions of years, it is something that makes our hearts, the hearts of people who do not have a wide vision, beat in fear. They believe that evolution, the theory of evolution, will create such a philosophy as will enable people to reject a living God. And they are very wrong. The knowledge of God is based only on the idea of unity, on the knowledge of unity. When we see how the great creation is organized in whole tracts of knowledge, ways of life in both body and spirit and mind, that everything is in fact one of part of a greater system, then we see the great spirit that enlivens everything and gives room to everything. If the ways of wisdom are so, or indicate, the ways of wisdom indicate that this would come through an evolution of millions and millions of years, this should just make us wonder all the more what wonderful and inconceivable is the enlivener of all worlds, of God, that for him all those millions of years that work without cease to give fruit, to yield a certain goal, for him all those millions of years are naught. This is what the Rabbi Kook wrote about evolution, that evolution should only place greater wonder into our hearts at how God works, at the amazing way in which God works. Yet, with all its wonderful logic and its amazing compatibility with a comprehensive and infinite conception of God, evolutionary theory has found itself on the very seam, on the very lines of force, the seismic lines, if you will, of the conflict between religion and science. Throughout the world, we find the struggle of what are called traditional streams against the idea of evolution. In the US today, in what is known as the Bible Belt, the fundamentalist area of the evangelists who read Bible literally, there is a very emotional battle surrounding this very issue. Americans fight each other there how to teach their children about the origins of man. Should it be evolution or creation? And creation theory is placed as if it were a viable alternative to evolution. The Rabbi Kook described the roots of these disagreements, these conflicts, when he wrote, the idea regarding the development of existence and everything in it can be used by people to influence their spirit either up or down. This idea can be taken as a remedy or as a lethal drug, for both are embedded in this idea. When a person looks back, wrote Rabbi Kook, and sees the terrible state of past conditions, and he sees that he is now in a moral, intellectual, physical state much happier than in the past, then on the one hand he feels pride and a sense of I am good enough, and the morality becomes lax, and whatever morality he finds within himself, he will say when some bad spirit of some passion or lust overtakes him, that is enough, quite enough, and much more than could be expected of a creature such as himself, who is based or is akin to animals and has wild and coarse bestiality as its in its ancestry. So what the Rav is saying here, that the theory of evolution can be taken as a sort of method of moral laxity. Looking back, he said, I come from beasts, I am descended from apes, then it's okay if I occasionally behave like an ape. But on the other hand, says the Rav, on the other side of this perspective, which looks to the animalistic past, there is another perspective that looks to the human future. And the Rav writes that in contrast to that, there is a vision of evolution regarding the future that raises man to such a high moral level that should be thinking about himself the idea of the greatness of man in his creation. Most of the arguments surrounding evolution today are focused on the first axis of this look to the past that seems to give moral lassitude, not lassitude, moral room, as if moral room to release the animal in man. And most of the people for and against evolution more or less surround this the polarized axes of this argument. Religious people view evolutionary conception and its representatives as calling a challenging the morality and good order, and something that must be blocked at any price. So ultimately they began denying the very facts on which evolutionary theory is based. According to creationists, the people of young Earth and the people of flood geology and the other sects that object to evolution, all that is that may take away from morality or human responsibility is nothing but a test from God in order to test the mettle of man. And therefore there is a legitimate room to struggle and resist the theory of evolution, even if it is a perfectly beautiful way to explain the findings. So long as the upshot of these findings may seem anti or amoral as far as they are concerned. These people tend to blame almost all of the moral defects of the generation, if not all of them, on the spread of the idea of evolution. So we see that when one focuses on the aspect of evolution that looks to the past, and one says, okay, so a man came from animals, therefore he is an animal, therefore no moral blame can be placed at his door when he behaves like an animal. But Rabbi Kook shows us that there is another way of looking at it, the way that if animals have evolved to this place that there is a man, then it behooves us to be evolutionary and continue that trend and become even more gentle, even more human in this regard.